Okay. So there's a question, when will personal mock interview start? See, there is no time or date set for that. Whenever you want me to have a mock with you, just let me know. So if you want tomorrow, we can have it tomorrow. No issues on that. So see, the point is that we have gone through the basics. We've seen that these are the basic questions, and I hope that you have gone through those study kits, at least one study kit. I'll share some more study kits on that on the group. So at least आप एक स्टडी किट देख के उसमें से जो क्वेश्चंस हैं उसके जो आंसर्स आपके हैं वो एक बार आपने ड्राफ्ट कर लिए हैं. So we can have a mock interview. Okay, anytime anyone wants, let me know. Morning, daytime works for me the best. So we'll fix a slot, and then we can have a look at the answers that you prepared, and we can refine or modify them or change them. तो वो कोई issue नहीं है, ठीक है? We can have when you want. So let's begin this session. Today's current affairs. Let's look at some of the headlines that we seen today. So one of the major event is EAM, External Affairs Minister Mr. Jaishankar met the Russian president during his 5-day visit. So anybody would like to comment on that, discuss what is it about, and how does this or what kind of signals does it convey in the field of geopolitics? How important or strategic this is, or so if anyone has any comment on this news item.
Sir, like mostly Russia-Ukraine thing was discussed, and it also shows that like next year, I think Modi might like visit Russia, and they also discussed like some other projects and trade deals, which and like the president also looked happy when he was talking, so that's
Right.
a good sign.
Right. So why is it this? Let's say, let's try to understand also why is it little strategic coming at this time, 5-day visit of EAM, and Russia also welcoming with open arms. And in fact, Putin has rather broken the protocol in the way that he doesn't really meet. See, head of the state doesn't really meet anyone other than the head of the state. So Putin has not met any any official from any country who's not the head of the state. So if Xi Jinping comes, then he'll meet Xi Jinping. If Biden comes, he'll meet Biden. He will not meet Anthony this thing or any other Lloyd Austin or anyone. So why has he done? So in fact, if you remember, in a couple of months back, a few months back, NSA also had gone Ajit Doval. So he had met Ajit Doval also. And now he has invited Modi ji and said that we are waiting for him. So why is this strategic? See, from Indian perspective, this is kind of a message also which is going to the Western world, which is US and its allies. Because if you receive recently the US's attitude towards India on certain issues like Pannoon, right? आपने अगर पन्नू वाला जो सुना है, तो पन्नू is we have in fact officially put it on record that we think that Pannu is a CIA agent, and you are harboring him, shielding him, and he's making these kind of statements that I'll blow up the parliament, I'll blow up the aircraft, and still there is no action against him. So don't think that we are India of the past and we'll accept whatever crap you dish us. So this is the kind of messaging that has gone, and obviously US and other its allies, they've been after us to vote in the UN against the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which we have abstained from doing so, and much to the chagrin of all these people. So we are trying to show that we are now strong enough to conduct our own diplomacy the way we want. Our foreign policy, it will not be dictated by any one country or two countries. We will be. So this is in fact one thing which is unique about India, that India has kind of kept its stand open towards most of these countries. It has not really taken any sides or aligned with anyone. Even let's say today in Israel and Hamas war, it is not okay. It has called for humanitarian aid and help in in Hamas in Gaza, but it has not gone against Israel or voted against Israel. So and also parallelly supporting the humanitarian aid. So it has very beautifully navigated, I would say, in the recent history. I mean, I don't think that any of India's foreign policy had been so effective, and which is why I think we are being recognized as a power to be. So this particular visit is very important. So he, apart from the some of the stuff which is about some nuclear power plants, some enhancing the capacities of nuclear power plants. See, India and Russia have been allies in many technological. We have tie-ups in many fields. Okay, our entire military was almost Russia based, right? We didn't used to buy the American or any other arms, ammunitions, and even our air force and other things, right? So it was, unless I mean, for the first time we went to Rafael, which is the French. So the point is that in India Russia alliance is pretty old, and we are, and it is as strong as it is. Rather, it is even more strengthened. And uh, also, they made a comment that we are very happy with the Make in India program of Modi ji, and we would want to replicate that in our own country. So they have already given the instructions to their automotive manufacturers and their other weapon manufacturers to replicate this particular Make in India initiative. So from all that perspective, this is very important and strategic. Okay, so I hope you get the perspective here. Okay, so our friend Rahul Gandhi is off on another sojourn. आपने पढ़ा इसके बारे में?
Yes, sir.
So this will be a almost 2 month march, starting again strategically from Manipur, right? So Manipur is a place where we've seen so much of violence and unrest in the past 6-7 months, and so he's starting symbolically from there. Now, some have raised the question on why is he not starting from Arunachal Pradesh. Now, Arunachal Pradesh, China claims is a part of China. So people have been very quick to jump and just give me one second. So, and people associate Congress with China. Okay, people say that Congress, with China wants Congress to form the government here because their interests align. And so some are saying that strategically he's not starting from Arunachal Pradesh because Arunachal Pradesh is so China considers it is its own. And in fact, when our officials or ministers go there, then China doesn't feel very happy. So it has made its displeasure very evident when some of our ministers had visited there some time back. So that's why he's not going from starting from Arunachal Pradesh. So anyway, whatever it is, now whether it turns out to be another one, whatever yatra he had done, how good it will be or bad. So he says, I'll fight against the forces who are bordering on dictatorship and divisiveness and creating rifts among people. So that's what he says. Let's see. Okay, now, ये सोड की स्पेलिंग गलत लिख दी मैंने, सॉरी. Sensex has soared over 72,000, Nifty over 21,700. So last 4 days again, as we have seen, there have been back to back almost 100 points increase in Nifty over the past 4 consecutive days. So why is it happening? Okay, why is the stock market booming? So there are a couple of reasons for it. One is, of course, there is a strong Q2 GDP number, which is 7.6%. And that has enabled RBI to raise the projection for FY24 as at 7%. Earlier, it was less than 7%. So emboldened by this Q2 GDP number, the RBI has raised the projection from 6.7 or something to 7%. So this is one of the factors. Second factor is the BJP's probable win. Okay, with the 3 important states in its bag, it's almost a foregone conclusion. And stock market जो होता है वो उसको कहते हैं discounting machine. Okay, it discounts the future events. That means it already factors in what is going to happen a few months down the line. तो स्टॉक मार्केट उसको अभी से डिस्काउंट करके चल रहा है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो 2024 जीतने के बाद में फिर बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा, वो ऑलरेडी वो अभी इफेक्ट दिख रहा है आपको. सो दैट इज अनदर angle to it. And the third angle, of course, is the Fed softening stance on interest rates. So globally, if you see whether it is Dow Jones or it is S&P or it is Nasdaq, Nasdaq तो इतना नहीं है अभी all time highs, but yes, S&P and Dow Jones, they are almost nearing their all time highs, and every day they are making new highs, and so is our market. So that's another important thing which is going on. Yesterday we had this incidents of violence in Bangalore. Did you read about it? कुछ सुना उसके बारे में, पढ़ा आपने? Anyone?
Yes, sir, that all the
Yes.
pro-Kannada activists, they want the local language to thrive. So
Right.
they're destroying signboards in English.
Right. So what has happened is that there is this entity or unit called Rakshana Vedike. So these people, they want Kannada to flourish there, and if an outlet is not displaying uh, whatever information, 60% in Kannada. That means it says that whatever is given, उसका 60% whatever signboard जो है आपका उसमें वो कन्नड़ा में होना चाहिए, और बाकी का जो है वो आपका हो सकता है. तो so some outlets which did not have such thing on a signboard, उनको जाके इन्होंने तोड़फोड़ मचा दी. तो and police were also not doing much. I saw some video where police is just mildly उसको हिला रहा है इधर से उधर कुछ पकड़ के, नहीं तो otherwise they should come down very hard on them. So apparently it has the blessing of the chief minister to some extent, and that means because Siddharamaia, so they have also mentioned many times that anybody who lives in Karnataka should know Kannada. They should learn Kannada. And see, this was something which was seen in Maharashtra or Mumbai, Maharashtra, when Raj Thackeray and his MNS, they used to rule the roost. So at that time, they used to target all the outlets which did not display the signboards in Marathi. And they had strong reservations and issues with people coming from Bihar and UP and getting employment there. तो वो वहाँ पे चला था बहुत ज़्यादा. अभी तो इतना नहीं होता वहाँ पे. Obviously now the government also is not theirs. So but Bangalore में this thing is certainly started, and this is not a good sign. Anybody from Bangalore here? कोई है क्या Bangalore में जो है अभी में से, आप में से? ठीक है, कोई नहीं है. Okay.
Sir, I'm staying in Bangalore.
Oh, you're in Bangalore only right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can give the first-hand information. I mean, is it really that prominent or?
नहीं सर, मतलब वो सब कुछ एरियाज में ही होता है, मतलब
अच्छा,
ज्यादातर.
अच्छा,
Yeah.
okay. So it is all media created frenzy, you mean to say, or what?
Mostly, sir, like because they also want their publicity, and I mean, the people don't like Hindi. Like in metro, there's like only Kannada and stuff like that, but still, it's not as widespread.
Okay, okay, all right. Maybe it might spread. Maybe it
Yeah,
is
that is for sure. Yeah, like people do sort of have some sort of
right.
weirdness going on.
But this is all not good because ultimately you can't force. Okay, yes. See, if your language or if your culture has got attraction, charm, then anybody would like to learn. Many people learn French. Many people learn Spanish, not because somebody forces them to do so, but because they like. So today I would also want to learn some language so that I can be conversant in their culture. I can read their literature, or because देखो कोई भी चीज आप देखिएगा कि ट्रांसलेशन के बाद वो बचती नहीं है उसकी ओरिजिनलिटी. हाउएवर इसके ऊपर कई पैसेजेस भी हमने किए हुए हैं कि वंस यू ट्रांसलेट द एसेंस ऑफ दैट इज नॉट रियली देयर. तो बहुत सारी चीजें जो है वो इज गुड टू लर्न लैंग्वेजेस. ओके, बट ऑब्वियसली नॉट फोर्स्ड. At least 44 people, including children, were hospitalized after inhaling ammonia gas that leaked. ये एक थोड़ा सा आजकल वो देयर इज अ वेब सीरीज, तो वो देखने के बाद में थोड़ा लोग ज़्यादा डर भी जाते हैं. देखिए आपने रेलवे मैन?
Yes, sir.
तो वो रेलवे मैन में दिखाया कि यूनियन कार्बाइड से कैसे वो gas leak हो गई थी, and that had killed thousands and thousands of people, right? So of course this was not that serious, but obviously once something starts, then people get panicky. There was a movie 2019 में Oscar winner. This was the first foreign language movie that won the mainstream Oscar. उसका lead actor एक था, Lee Sun Kyun. So he has died at the age of 48. That was another news that I thought was worthwhile. All right. So this was the major news events. Any other which you can think of, or then I'll cover a couple of issues in a little more detail. Okay. So just give me one second. Just 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so let's look at a couple of events or a couple of things which are of importance to us. We've been talking about global credit rating agencies, right? हमने अपने एक जो उस दिन IMF ने डेट की वार्निंग इशू की थी, उसमें भी हमने इसके बारे में मेंशन किया था. So these credit rating agencies, yeah, okay, राम मंदिर ओपनिंग, हाँ, yes, राम मंदिर ओपनिंग इज ऑल्सो एन इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग. उसके ऊपर हम डिस्कस करेंगे कभी. So what I'll do is now tomorrow onwards I'll give you 2 topics, okay, on which you'll have to prepare. तो वो हम उसमें से ये उसमें कवर करेंगे. Okay, so main the items like abrogation of 370 and then Ram Mandir and all these things we'll cover in that. All right. So methodology of global credit rating agencies. Now see, global credit rating agencies जो होती हैं, so कौन-कौन सी हैं? Anyone can recount which are the 3 global credit rating agencies? एक तो दिखाई हुआ आपके सामने Moody's, और
S&P है.
S&P है, करेक्ट, और
Fitch.
यस. सो ये क्या करते हैं? ये रेटिंग देते हैं सॉवरिन को. सॉवरिन मींस कंट्रीज को रेटिंग देते हैं. राइट. तो वो रेटिंग से अब होता क्या है? देखिए, रेटिंग से आपकी जो एज एन इन्वेस्टर, ओके, व्हेन एन इन्वेस्टर wants to invest, or let's say you want to borrow from anyone out of your country, तो they will look at your credit worthiness. ओके, जैसे हमारा पर्सनल उसमें सिबिल स्कोर होता है. तो आप अगर होम लोन लेना चाहेंगे या ऑटो लोन लेना चाहेंगे, कुछ भी लोन लेना चाहेंगे, बड़े बिग टिकट आइटम, तो आपका वो सिबिल स्कोर चेक करेगा. बिकॉज दैट विल देन टेल हिम कि हाउ क्रेडिट वर्दी यू आर, हाउ ट्रस्ट वर्दी यू आर. तो अगर आप ट्रस्ट वर्दी नहीं हो, आपका स्कोर कम है, तो क्या होता है? आपसे इंटरेस्ट रेट फिर ज़्यादा लिया जाएगा. नाउ एज वी नो दैट, see, let's say a country like India, which is a developing country, it needs a lot of resources, right, in terms of financial resources, because we have ample land, we have people, we have natural resources, we have a lot of stuff, right? But we need a lot of financial resources, we need a lot of money that could pump in and then create these into something which can make the economy grow. तो आप borrow करते हो. अब आप borrow जब करते हो, तो obviously you would want to go to the cheaper source. तो cheaper source अब is outside, right? Now that's the same money that is available to somebody with a higher rating at let's say 1% or 2% or 3% max is available to you at 6%, 7% or 8%, because आपकी credit rating जो है वो नीचे. So it's a big blow. It's a big blow to the aspirations. तो इस केस में यहाँ पे हुआ ये है कि हमारे जो कुछ ऑफिशियल्स हैं मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस के एंड सम economic advisors, so these people have kind of lambasted or slammed the methodology of these agencies, that how can you give us this rating? We deserve a much better rating. So ये फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री के ऑफिशियल्स हैं, इन्होंने दे हैव मेट द टॉप 3 रेटिंग एजेंसीज एंड दे हैव sought an upgrade. So they need to credit rating, need to reform their sovereign rating process to correctly reflect the default risk of developing economies. तो कह रहा है आपने हमारी नहीं बल्कि डेवलपिंग इकोनॉमीज की जो डिफॉल्ट रिस्क है वो आप गलत तरीके से रिप्रेजेंट करते हो. सो दिस विल सेव अस बिलियंस इन फंडिंग कॉस्ट. तो गवर्नमेंट चीफ इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर हैं एक वी अनंता नागेश्वरन, ये उन्होंने बताया. तो इंडिया सीक्स टू अपग्रेड इट्स सॉवरेन क्रेडिट रेटिंग currently at lowest possible investment grade, as the South Indian nation has seen its economic metrics improve considerably since the pandemic. हमारे यहाँ पे अभी जैसे हम बात करते हैं मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक इंडिकेटर्स की, तो हमारे जीडीपी की हम बात करते हैं. दिस इज वी आर द बिगेस्ट, आई मीन वी आर द फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग बिगेस्ट इकोनॉमी, बिगेस्ट फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग बिग इकोनॉमी. इन्फ्लेशन भी हमारा कंट्रोल में है. तो बाकी के जो माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक इंडिकेटर्स हैं वो बड़े अच्छे हैं. लेकिन आपने हमें ये जो एक चार्ट है ये बताता है कि ये क्या रेटिंग है. ठीक है, तो इसमें ये यहाँ तक जो है ये इन्वेस्टमेंट ग्रेड बोला जाता है. तो जो कंट्रीज की रेटिंग इसके अंदर होती है दे आर कंसिडर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट वर्दी, कि एक इन्वेस्टर उसमें इन्वेस्ट कर सकता है, उसको पैसा दे सकता है, देर इज नॉट मच रिस्क. इसमें भी प्राइम, हाई ग्रेड, अपर और मीडियम है, तो उसने हमको यहाँ पे रखा हुआ है. ओके, दे हैव मोस्टली प्लेस्ड इट हियर, दे अस हियर. So our contention is that why should you place us at the bottom here? Okay, we deserve to be placed much above because इसमें जो इनसे इंटरेस्ट रेट चार्ज करेंगे वो बहुत सबसे कम होगा ऑब्वियसली. इससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा, इससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा, इनसे बहुत ज़्यादा. इनको तो देंगे ही नहीं वो. इनको बोलेंगे भैया पहले आप इस ग्रुप में आओ फिर उसके बाद आना. तो द पॉइंट इज दैट वी डोंट डिजर्व टू बी हियर इज व्हाट आवर क्लेम इज. एंड योर मेथोडोलॉजी एंड द वे you have given these ratings to us, ये बड़ी एक ओपेक है. there is opacity in this. आपने जो अपना प्रोसीजर है वो ट्रांसपेरेंटली शेयर नहीं किया है. आप किससे बात करते हो, who are the official that you talk to here, इसमें किसी का क्या वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट है, ये सब इनको चैलेंज किया गया है. तो एक डॉक्यूमेंट है री एग्जामिनिंग नैरेटिव्स कलेक्शन published by CEA's office. He said enormous degree of opaqueness in credit rating methodology makes it challenging to quantify the impact of qualitative factors on credit rating. कई सारे क्वालिटेटिव फैक्टर भी आपको लेने चाहिए, तो इन्होंने सबसे मिले हैं ये. और व्हाई डू दीज मैटर? बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली क्रेडिट वर्दीनेस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, दे प्रोवाइड अ मार्कर फॉर इन्वेस्टर्स अराउंड द वर्ल्ड अबाउट द एबिलिटी एंड विलिंगनेस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट टू पे बैक डेट. Just as individual credit rating is critical to whether he or she gets a loan, sovereign ratings affects a country's ability to borrow money from global investors. Countries with lower sovereign ratings have to pay higher, right? So obviously that's not something that works in our favor. सॉवरिन रेटिंग्स मैटर. अब ये खाली गवर्नमेंट के लिए नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट बोरो कर रही है, तो गवर्नमेंट तो बोरो करती है, हमें पता है, हमने कल देखा था. हमारा जो इनकम है और एक्सपेंडिचर है उसका जो गैप है, तो कल हमने क्या देखा था, कितनी हमारी इनकम है और कितना एक्सपेंडिचर है. एनीवन डू यू रिमेंबर दोस फिगर्स?
45 was the expenditure.
45, yes, 45 what?
27 income.
करेक्ट. 45 क्या था? लाख करोड़.
Budget.
Correct. So 45 lakh crore was the expenditure, and 27 lakh crore roughly thereabouts were the 26 were the income. So obviously rest had to be funded, 17 odd lakh crore. तो अब ये 17 odd lakh crore जो है ये हमें फंड करने हैं. तो हमने देखा था कि या तो बोरोइंग इंटरनल होती है एक्सटर्नल. तो इंटरनल बोरोइंग से ही करते हैं मोस्टली, और देयर इज अ वेरी लिटिल फॉरेन बोरोइंग. तो दैट इज ऑब्वियसली one reason for that is the rate that we are given outside is also much higher. तो ये तो सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट की बात कर रहे हो. जो बिजनेसेस हमारे हैं ये भी जब सीख करते हैं एक्सटर्नल कमर्शियल बोरोइंग्स, ECB is one source of capital for our businesses. So when they borrow, then they have to pay a higher interest, right? तो ये लोग वहाँ पे बॉन्ड्स इशू करते हैं. और जैसे आपने बीच में अडानी का पढ़ा होगा लास्ट ईयर, जो इस टाइम पे हिंडनबर्ग की रिपोर्ट आ गई थी जनवरी में, तो अडानी की बॉन्ड और ये सब जंक हो गई थी, डिक्लेयर कर दी गई थी क्रेडिट सुएस ने, और ये सब हो रहा था. तो एनीवे दैट थिंग इज नाउ पास्ट, दैट बिहाइंड अस. in 1 year, I remember last year in January when Hindenburg thing came out in January end, तो उस टाइम पे अडानी, and now totally it's a turnaround. तो हम लोगों को बेसिकली बोरो करने में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ता है. दैट्स बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी द सेफेस्ट बेट, इसलिए गवर्नमेंट को फिर भी कम रेट मिलता है, लेकिन जो बिजनेसेस हैं उनको और भी ज़्यादा रेट मिलता है। तो अगर गवर्नमेंट को 5-6% पे मिल रहा है तो उनको 8-10% पे मिलता है, राइट? सो बिजनेसेस वुड एंड अप फोर्किंग आउट इवन हायर इंटरेस्ट. So most developing countries, while rich in either labor, land, these things, suffer from lack of capital. In the absence of this, struggle to make best use of natural strength. So poor sovereign rating can inhibit the ability of these countries to borrow money from rich investors. Just as a good rating can make it easier to become more productive and remove mass poverty. अब ये मेन रेटिंग एजेंसीज कौन सी हैं? तो सॉवरेन क्रेडिट रेटिंग प्रीडेट द ब्रेटन वुड्स. ये ब्रेटन वुड इंस्टीट्यूशन आई थी 1945 में, ये जब वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकेंड खत्म हो गया था. इसके बारे में बात करेंगे. IMF, वर्ल्ड बैंक, तो ये जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं इनका क्या रोल है, और थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में भी चर्चा करेंगे हम. तो देयर आर 3 मेन ग्लोबली रिकग्नाइज्ड क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसीज. मूडी स्टैंडर्ड्स. मूडी इज द ओल्डेस्ट, 1900 में स्टैब्लिश हुआ, और जब से ये रेटिंग कर रहा है लोगों की. और ये इनके अलग अलग, ये अपने इनके रेटिंग का ये नॉर्म है, मतलब इनका नॉमेनक्लेचर ये है, इसका ये है, और इसका ये है. गवर्नमेंट ने क्रिटिसाइज क्या किया है? उसने कहा है कि इनकी जो मेथोडोलॉजी है ये बड़ी ओपेक है, और दिस गिव्स डिसएडवांटेज टू डेवलपिंग इकोनॉमी इन सर्टेन वेज. तो फिच डॉक्यूमेंट मेंशन दैट रेटिंग एजेंसीज टेक कंफर्ट फ्रॉम हाई लेवल्स ऑफ फॉरेन ओनरशिप इन बैंकिंग सेक्टर. तो उनका कहना है कि अगर आपके जो बैंकिंग सेक्टर है इसमें फॉरेन स्टेक कम है तो यू आर एट ए डिसएडवांटेज, दैट मीन्स यू विल गेट अ लोअर रेटिंग. तो ये तो एक बड़ा काउंटर इंट्यूटिव सा एक इनकी आस्क है, राइट? बिकॉज हमारे यहाँ पे हम फॉरेन बैंक्स, अगर हमारे यहाँ पे हमारे बैंक्स ओन करेंगे तो इन एनी केस विल बी मोर वल्नरेबल. तो फॉरेन बैंक्स हैं ठीक है, बट फॉरेन बैंक्स की हमारे यहाँ पे तो मोस्टली अभी वो ये कहते हैं कि आपकी जो पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स हैं ये आपके खत्म हो जाने चाहिए. दे हैव बीन हिस्टोरिकली सब्जेक्ट टू पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस. बट पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स कैसे खत्म हो जाएंगे, राइट? पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स कम जरूर हो जाएंगे. सो देयर इज द हिस्ट्री ऑफ बैंकिंग वेयर द बैंक्स वर नेशनलाइज्ड बाय इंदिरा गांधी in 1970s, and there were 27 public sector banks, and of which now the list stands at just 12. So many have been sold off, or many have been uh, merged into to make a bigger entity. तो अब आज की तारीख में हम देखें तो हमारे पास में सिर्फ 12 पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स हैं. एंड पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स वर्सेस प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स, लेट्स इसके ऊपर भी एक दिन एक हमें ग्रुप डिस्कशन करेंगे कि शुड वी प्राइवेटाइज ऑल द पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स. So let's take a quick view from you that what is the role that public sector banks play? Is there any advantage of keeping them, या they are just drain? ये तो सिर्फ नीरव मोदी जैसे लोगों को पैसा देके भगाने में हेल्प करते हैं, या फिर विजय माल्या इनको चूना लगा के भाग देता है 9-10 हजार करोड़. तो what is your view? Anyone? Yes, Utsav.
Yes, sir. I also believe that the public sector banks should be at minimum, because they
मिनिमम
are
मतलब
very.
मिनिमम नहीं, देखो एक तो ये है कि whether they should exist or they should be totally privatized.
I think, sir, yes, they should be privatized, because they are generally influenced by, as they are owned by the government, they are very much influenced by the politicians, and we have seen in the past that many of these banks have given loans to the businesses that have connection to some politicians, and have defaulted on the loans, and there is a high risk with these banks.
Okay, fine. So what you are saying is that these banks have been associated with more of the NPAs that have been caused, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
non-performing assets. Non-performing asset means some loan that doesn't get paid. So
Right.
public sector banks have been used to curry favor. इसमें जो अगर आप किसी politician से connected हो, तो आप कैसा भी business start करना चाह रहे हो, नहीं करना चाह रहे हो, हवा में भी करना चाह रहे हो, तो आपको loan मिल जाता था, right? So as per you, these are an ill and evil which should be done away with. Let me
Yes.
hear from Amulya.
So
Sir.
today what happened was that the maid which works at our place, so she told me that there are many government schemes which come to their bank only if their bank is public bank. So for example, she made an account for some Kanyadan Yojana, in which she will be paid some 10 lakhs during her daughter's
10
marriage
lakhs?
if she. Sorry, sir.
10 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good.
If she pays the bank, around 500 to 1,000 per month.
Acha, okay, fine, all right,
Yes, sir.
all
So,
right.
like, if we say that completely eliminating the public sector banks will,
Hmm. So what you are
will
talking about is
hamper.
called financial inclusion,
Yes, sir, correctly.
right?
Like,
So the
there
term
are
to be
many,
used here is financial inclusion. That public
right, sir,
sector banks enable financial inclusion, right?
right, sir.
Okay.
Sir, or like there are many problems also. Like first of all, they are not very responsive to the problems of general public. Like for
हाँ,
example, we all have.
एसबीआई में दिन भर लंच पे ही रहते हैं वो। इसके बहुत सारे मीम
Yes,
बनते हैं,
sir.
है ना? आप लोगों ने भी सुने होंगे बहुत सारे मीम कि एक बार
Yes, sir.
जोमेटो वाला वहां पे लंच
Correctly.
डिलीवर करने आया तो उसको बोलते हैं अभी बाद में आना, लंच टाइम चल रहा है। ओके, ऑलराइट, गो अहेड।
Right.
ओके,
So, sir, yeah, that was my point. That there are problem, but it is helping in financial inclusion. So it should not be completely like shut down. But
ओके,
yeah, if this happens that the policies of government could be run by the private sector bank also, then I think that sector bank should be closed.
ओके, यस नंदिनी।
So I
पार्थ, आई विल कम टू यू। अभी आप कतार में हैं, तो अभी नंदिनी, नंदिनी इज स्ट्रेट फ्रॉम द हॉर्सेज माउथ। नंदिनी हैज वर्कड इन बैंकिंग सेक्टर। यस नंदिनी, व्हाट आर योर व्यूज?
Sir, I feel that we need to take a balanced stance here because, a lot of customers, the Indian consumer especially, there's a certain level of trust that they hold in public sector banks, which, we used to face also while dealing with customers. And I feel that, because, and there's customer stickiness also. Once a bank account or a bank is not something that they would willing to change frequently, so when these banks get privatized, they generally hold a negative image of such a happening. It's not always positive, and we see, matlab, at least the traditional, there's a certain age group I feel who are very sticky as compared to, matlab, still the youngsters who are still willing to hold multiple bank accounts or go to private banks also.
Right,
So I feel, and again, there are certain kinds of schemes that only public banks provide, which are, yet to come to the private sector as well. And I don't think that such kind of schemes will ever be provided by private sector players because they're focusing on their profit making. They're not focusing on public welfare as such.
correct.
So I think there's a need for public sector banks, but of course, not a major chunk. SBI is one of the prominent players in the public sector industry, and I don't think that, it's ever going to be wiped out by someone like HDFC or ICICI. These three are the main players, and public sector is here to stay. I don't think that complete privatization can happen.
Correct. Good points. In fact, the reach of public sector banks is unparalleled and unmatched. Even in the smallest of places, villages, or out back of the beyond, you will find a public sector bank branch, which the private sector bank might not be willing to because of the profitability issues, right? Okay, good points. There are some schemes that are available, and then stickiness. So, good points. Yes, Banchul.
Sir, I think the minimum balance also holds a big reason for staying of the public banks, because there are some certain of class of people that are not able to keep the minimum balances that the private bank offer them. So, and so the services also are somewhat expensive of private banks, but the public banks offer them in the lower prices, like debit card services. So, sir, I think the public banks are here to stay.
Right. Very good. Very good point. That the minimum balance requirements of private sector banks sometimes may be prohibitive for people who are from the lower income streams, and the charges also which are levied sometimes on the sometimes they are arbitrary, sometimes they are not justified. So that is also another issue. Yes, very valid point. Uh, Parth had raised his hands, Parth, and then whoever else wants to speak, I'll invite. Yes, Parth.
So I agree on many points with Nandini, because, for example, if we look at the financial inclusion part, so many of the private banks would have an aversion of opening up their branches in very secluded area. For example, you might not find a branch of HDFC in somewhere in the border areas of Himachal Pradesh to China, like in Kaza, but you might find a branch of SBI over there. So financial inclusion is very much important. Even the minimum balance part, which was said, that is also again an important part, because if we have, for example, many a Standard Chartered Bank or many other banks, they have a minimum balance requirement of 10,000 or 15,000. That is too much for many of the people around. So there are post banks, India Post Payment Banks, and various other banks, post offices banks are there. So financial inclusion has to be kept in mind. So even that Jam Trinity part, Jandhan, Aadhaar, and
Yes,
mobile. So
Jan-Dhan. Yes,
yes, sir,
correct.
Jandhan
Yes.
bank accounts. So that was very important. So for example, that even like Atal Pension Yojana, people who are getting pension for their future right now, and they are from the unorganized sectors, they get pensions regularly in such kind of public banks. So we cannot completely deny that these public banks are important. And we also need to change our own psyche in a way, because we actually don't stand in gray, we stand in black and white. So private and public, when we actually say that they both are actually opposite to each other, this comes with a psyche of our history, that in 1990s everything changed. But there are various public companies too, which are very much profitable. For example, like ONGC or like BPCL, or for example, in the world arena also, like BBC is very much is one of the things. So we need to take that psyche also out. So if public banks can actually compete with private bank and they have very good balance sheets, then public banks should never be kept out of the site and thinking that they should be totally
Privatized.
wiped off.
Privatized. Right. Good points. Good points about Jandhan particularly. See, Jandhan account was basically one of the biggest financial inclusion schemes ever launched in any country, and that resulted in 7 crores plus accounts being opened. Now, those accounts, in fact, almost all of them got opened in public sector banks. So this kind of facility or scheme cannot be given by the private sector banks. So having said that, yes, Utsav's point. Okay, let me invite somebody else also, and then yes, Satya, you were saying something.
Yes,
Yeah.
so most of the points have been covered by the others. So I just want to add one point that is running in my mind. So mostly from the consumer perspective, mostly in the urban areas, not talking about the rural areas. The credit cards and availability and the tech of the private banks is much more than the public bank. So if public sector banks were able to improve in that area, then I think public sector banks will beat out the private sector banks in all the areas.
Right. So the kind of services. So if they are
Yes.
able to match up the service levels of the private sector bank, then definitely they will give
Yes,
them
sir.
a big run for
Definitely
their
they
money.
will beat out the
Yeah.
private sector.
Right.
And because of the scale they have, they will
Yes.
definitely stand out.
Right. So because they have a huge reach. Yes, correct. Whereas these guys are mostly in metros and towns and tier two, maybe tier three cities. Yes, Shubhangi.
So we know that bureaucracy is a problem with public sector banks, but also uh, there is a safety net when the government is involved, because the government is well aware of what's happening within the bank. But there are a lot of time when we've seen big private banks getting in trouble. I mean, last I remember we heard Chandra Kochar and ICICI. So that is only when I think things escalate much higher in the case of a private sector bank, because there is absolutely zero involvement of the government. So not just from the point of view of providing more competitive interest rate to consumers, but just keeping the entire health of the banking industry strong. So I think that is one of the reasons
Right.
that public sector banks play a
Right.
crucial role.
Yes, Saurabh.
Sir, I was mulling over a point. I don't know if it is relevant here, but I want to discuss it. The thing is that most of the banks, when they earn good money, either public or private, they try to diversify themselves into other sectors as well, from where they could earn much more money, like insurance. If we talk about insurance, then The SBI also have a very good insurance background, and then they are also earning a lot of profit from there as well. But also on the other part, if you see private banks, then HDFC is also a good performing bank out of all those. But the thing is, sir, which I want to include here, that most of the people in India or in any other part of the world, they would always rely on a public bank because they are backed by the government. So there is a sense of security among the people who have invested or who have put their money in the bank, in a public bank, basically. So if we see the case around Sahara Bank, so it was a huge name earlier, maybe around 30 years back. But recently, not even recently, around 10 years back or 20 years back, they declared themselves running out of money. So there is not.
Sahara example, Sahara is not never a bank. It was an NBFC. So if you are see NBFCs are different, non-banking financial corporations. Okay.
Mhm.
And so banking license was given in 1991 after liberalization. Before that, there were no there were no private sector banks, right? All these HDFCs, ICICIs, and of the world, Axis Bank and all. See, anyway, they have come after that. So banking license, okay, is also it's not given to anybody and everybody. Though a lot many more would like to take that banking license. So Sahara was basically an NBFC. So there are many companies which are NBFCs. Of course, many have been given the license. Kotak has got a license. So it's in that sense. Okay, so Sahara may not be really a wise or the right example here. And if you
Okay,
look
sir.
at so we will talk about the see another the one pointer I'll give you that this security that we think that public sector banks have. Now let me tell you, yes, there is something which is there with if it's with a public sector bank that the government will never let that bank fail. And anytime there is a seeming collapse, then the bank will be recapitalized, which we have seen in many cases. If you see whether it is PNB or it is SBI for
Yeah.
that matter, or many banks which have come on the verge of bankruptcy, they've been bailed out. But the point that we are looking at here is that is it really that, see, are you aware that your deposit in any bank, whether it is a public or private, is only protected to a certain degree, only to a certain value? Can anyone
Yes.
tell me what is that value?
5 lakh.
5
5 lakhs.
5 lakhs. Correct. 5 lakhs. So 5 lakhs is the value. So whether you are holding a deposit in SBI or you are holding a deposit in HDFC Bank, if you have a deposit of 1 crore and let's say the bank goes bust, then only 5 lakhs will be given by the government. I mean, there is a credit guarantee, there's a guarantee which of only 5 lakhs, which was earlier 1 lakh. It has been raised to 5 lakhs. So, but this point is not known to most of the people. So it is in the minds. See, there are some banks which are too big to fail. Okay, so which is, let's say, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, or SBI. So these are considered to be too big to fail. So government will never let them fail, because these, if they fail, then it will be a collapse of the economy itself. So come what may, they will not be allowed to fail. So to that extent, this perception of people that there is security in a public sector bank, more security, that is a little misplaced in today's scenario. That point I wanted to add. Yes, Parth, you had some point.
So also, sir, one of the thing is that, for example, there are various infrastructure projects which government actually want to invest, but many of the private banks might find them to be very risky and they don't actually invest in it. So SBI actually helps in creating infrastructure in far-flung areas. So infrastructure is also one of the things, sir.
Correct.
Also,
That's correct. That's correct.
also, sir,
Now,
private
yeah.
data, sir. I have seen personally, I have seen that many of the data breaches happens in HDFC and others. It is very easy to get any data for example, like HDFC or ICICI Bank, but it is tremendously hard to get it from SBI. Also, because people are lazy. People might be lazy over there, but
So
data is one of the things.
their inefficiency prevents them from handing out the data to anyone, right?
Yes, sir.
But their inefficiency then works the other way. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, Utsav has a point here.
Sir, I don't really agree with the breaching of data point, because we have seen the data of Aadhaar card getting leaked. It's also a government authority, so you cannot really say that.
Okay. No, so I'm sure Parth was saying based on some facts. No. See, I partly agree with this the proposition that see, suppose we think that people are corrupt only in public sector undertakings, and they are not corrupt in private sector undertaking, then that's again big fallacy. Trust me, I have worked in private sector in corporate also, and I know that they are even more dangerous. And as Parth rightly pointed out, because they are much better organized, they have everything at the tip of their on the computer. So it is much easier for a private sector guy to be dishonest and sell the data for his private benefit rather than public sector, because the public sector guy, first of all, is not even that tech savvy. Okay, a typical public sector employee will not really. I mean, they won't have the data also at maybe so easily accessible. Now, this leads us to another point, that is it really a benefit? Because if you look at the case of Nirav Modi, so Nirav Modi, what did he do? So he enlisted one of the deputy general managers of ENB and made him sign something which he was not authorized to, and on that basis he could get huge amount uh, transferred to his accounts to the tune of 9,000 crores. So there he colluded. So this collusion is a little difficult in private sector banks, because then they are found out also very, very easily. So see, some advantages of being let's say technologically very advanced, that if some fraud happens, then it is much easier to go to the root cause and identify the people responsible in a private sector, whereas in a public sector it is little more difficult. And that is why you will find these NPAs and all these mushrooming in public sector. But now another point is that that thing is of past now. Okay, that thing doesn't happen to that degree. So initially we started off saying that yes, there was a time when any Tom, Dick, or Harry who was related to any politician, or even by dropping his name, could get any loan for anything. But those things have changed now. It is not that easy. Plus, we have this IBC, which is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So now that anybody to take a loan and then simply default it and declare themselves bankrupt, that is also not going to work. Yes, people might give examples that yes, still it is happening. Yes, it is happening, but to a much lesser extent. If you look at I don't know if you have noticed the kind of investment, or let's say the stock prices of banks, whether it is public sector banks or it is private sector banks. So their complete balance sheets have been cleaned. If you look at public sector banks, पिछले 5 सालों में बहुत कुछ
So
clean
the
up हो गया.
NPAs have been like going down.
MPAs have gone down significantly. अगर आप
Yes.
आज के तारीख में you look at the stock price of any public sector bank. In fact, current rally is one of the forces leading one of the factors leading to this rally is the public sector, whether it is banks or it is the public sector entities, whether it is the defense
Yes.
companies or it is the oil marketing companies. You look at any private sector, public
So many of
PSU
the
is the flavor, right?
public sector
Yeah.
stocks are at all-time high. If
Yes.
we take a railways or energy
Because
stocks, and
because they were so undervalued and nobody used to touch them. In fact, I remember for a
Sir,
long time वो दोनों का था, आईटीसी और एसबीआई. ठीक है, जब ये पैंडेमिक के टाइम पे ये दोनों 200 रुपए के आसपास चलते थे, और 200 से ऊपर जाते थे और वापस आ जाते थे. और एक मीम बना था उस टाइम पे कि राखी खड़ी हुई है वहां पे, और ये 200 से ऊपर दोनों चले गए हैं, और वो कह रही है मेरे करण अर्जुन आएंगे, और ये वापस 200 से नीचे आ जाते थे. So
sir, I remember ITC, but I
yeah,
don't
no,
about SBI.
same was SBI and
Okay.
ITC. They were stuck around 200 for a
Yes.
huge number of years, and then whenever they used to cross, फिर वो नीचे आ जाते थे. तो those shackles are broken, right? So SBI is at 650, and still it is undervalued. There are so many other public sector banks. So the point is that now, since the all these NPAs and all have been curtailed और काफी कुछ control में है, ठीक है, things will never be perfect. So still it is much better time compared to the past. So coming back to our point, anybody wants to add here, or we digressed and we
yes,
deliberately I wanted to have this discussion so that at least you get a flavor of all, because this is again an important point. और ये जीडी कई बार जीडी में आता है, ये जीडी में या वैट में ये टॉपिक कई बार उठता है. ये अमूल बोलो.
sir, I was adding to the point that recently government has even like questioned NBFCs that why are you investing so much through the alternative investment fund plans, which they used to like hide their original credit ratings,
Mm-hmm.
like the loan defaults.
Okay. Okay. So what have they replied?
So, sir, like right now they have not replied anything,
Okay.
but
Okay. Okay. So they
like
have been asked
they have
to respond.
reduced it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So they have been questioned. Right. Good. All right. So see, the point that this ministry says is that you people say that our public-owned banks have been subject to political interference and they should be done away with. देखो यूएस में ओके देयर वाज अ पॉइंट रेज बाय विशाल व्हिच वाज वैलिड कि यूएस में नहीं है वो दैट्स ओके यूएस में नहीं है दैट्स फाइन बट सबसे बड़े स्कैम्स भी कहाँ होते हैं दुनिया में अगर आप देखेंगे तो यूएस अपने आप को इतना रेगुलेटेड बोलता है बट द बिगेस्ट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस ओरिजिनेट फ्रॉम देयर सो इट इज अ
सबप्राइम मॉर्टगेज क्राइसिस है
यस
2008।
2008 का तो देखो ये यूएस जो है एक बड़ी डाइसी सी जगह है वहां पे हमें लगता है कि एवरीथिंग इज हंकी डोरी बट द बिगेस्ट स्कैम इफ यू लुक एट लास्ट ईयर ओके अगेन आई रिमेंबर लास्ट ईयर हिंडनबर्ग तो जनवरी में हुआ था उसके बाद में जो यूएस में एक के बाद एक बैंक की जो हालत होनी शुरू हुई थी तो इनफैक्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दैट देयर वर सो मेनी बैंक्स सिलिकॉन वैली वाला बैंक है और भी बहुत सारे नाम मैं भूल गया हूं अभी तक तो बहुत सारे बैंक्स थे जो धीरे 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 धीरे
Signature, so
yes signature and all that yes so there were so many banks which had collapsed so अमेरिका में उनका जो सिस्टम है उसके अलग चैलेंजेस हैं इनफैक्ट इंडिया इज बीइंग कंजर्वेटिव इट हैज बीन एबल टू सर्वाइव इवन द 2008 का जो था और बाद में भी जो पैंडेमिक के टाइम भी हुआ तो बिकॉज वी आर लिटिल मोर कंजर्वेटिव इन मेनी ऑफ आवर ways right so obviously then we get saved otherwise we would have been hit very very badly सो ये कहते हैं कि पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स मत रखो फॉरेन बैंक्स को कराओ तो दिस टेंड्स टू डिस्क्रिमिनेट अगेंस्ट डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज वेयर बैंकिंग सेक्टर इज प्राइमरीली रन बाय द पब्लिक सेक्टर and also such an assessment ignores the welfare and development function that public sector banks have in a developing country so हमारे यहाँ पे जैसे अभी हमने सब बातें कर ली उसकी inclusiveness की and all of these things right playing an important role in financial inclusion. Second, the expert generally consulted for rating assessment selected in a non-transparent manner. अब आप जाके लेट्स से कोई वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट है उसका आपने अगर रघुराम राजन को एक्सपर्ट इन्होंने कंसल्ट कर लिया अभी रघुराम राजन इज अंडर ग्रेट डील ऑफ फायर ओके ही ऑलवेज व्हेनेवर ही इज ओपनिंग हिज माउथ ही इज अटरिंग सम नॉनसेंस so people are wondering that how could this fellow have been the governor of RBI and how could this fellow have been such an eminent scholar in the US because he has vested interest right वो और सैम पित्रोदा और कांग्रेस और राहुल गांधी I mean if you are from this side of the spectrum then you would say that yes there is a merit in whatever people are saying so I also agree to that he's been too pessimistic and he's been too dismissive of India and all whatever his predictions have been there they have all proven to be false yes Utsav.
Sir, but I have read Raghuram Rajan's papers, and he has a very, I don't know, he has a valid reasoning of whatever he says.
No, he
And
has his own valid reasoning, but does it turn out like that? Whatever
sir, the
projections he gives,
predictions, yes, the
whatever.
predictions are not.
So
not
what is ultimately what is the economist's role? Time and again, an economist predicts and that turns out to be wrong. Then you would not go to on his reasoning, right? You would go on what the result is. So and also his proximity to these people. Okay, so his proximity to these people also. See, naysayers जो हैं जो कि अभी ठीक है हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि जो ये सरकार कर रही है सब बहुत अच्छा कर रही है yes there are problems there are challenges agreed but the right kind of challenges problems should be highlighted na? Not something which is illogical. Okay, so fine. Let's move to the experts generally consulted in a non-transparent manner, adding another layer of opaqueness. Third, they do not convey the clearly assigned weights for each parameter. आप बताते हो नहीं किस तरीके से करते हो. While Fitch does lay out some numerical weights, that weights are for illustrative purpose only. It says, तो भाई weights are illustrative purposes only और ना बताते हो आप. जैसे ये इन्होंने एक weights बताए कि कितना कितना किस चीज का वेट है तो ये बोलता है ये इलस्ट्रेटिव है अरे इलस्ट्रेटिव है तो फिर या तो इसको स्टिक करो इससे और या फिर मत दिखाओ इसको आप बोल दो कि हमको जैसे भी करना है हम करेंगे जैसे अब आप एनमैट है एनमैट वाला आपको कुछ नहीं बताएगा एनमैट वाला आपका स्कोर दे देगा वो एनमैट वाला ये नहीं बोलेगा कि इतने क्वेश्चन गलत हुए तो आपका स्कोर इतना आएगा इतने ये हुए तो इतना आएगा राइट इट विल जस्ट गिव यू वन स्कोर सो बोलता है हम बोल रहे हैं कि यार या तो आप सीधा सीधा बोल दो पर अगर एनमैट वाले ने ऐसा एक चार्ट लगा रखा है वहां पे और फिर वो चार्ट से हम अगर अपना स्कोर निकालते हैं और वो आता है 250 और वो हमें दे रहा है 230 तो हम उसको क्वेश्चन करेंगे ना देन इट कांट से दैट कि ये तो केवल एक इंडिकेटिव है। अरे इंडिकेटिव क्या होता है फिर? आप एक्सप्लेन करोगे फिर मेरा स्कोर 230 क्यों आया, 250 क्यों नहीं आया? कुछ लोग हैं हमारे जो बेचारे थोड़े दुखी हैं इससे, वो यहाँ पे अभी नहीं है, शायद एक दो लोग हैं जो चैलेंज कर रहे हैं कि मैं आई नीड, आई विल चैलेंज दैट मेरे इतने करेक्ट हैं और इतना आ ही नहीं सकता। तो अब देखो, एनमैट को तो चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते हो, कैट को जरूर कर सकते थे आप, तो एनमैट को तो कर नहीं सकते। तो दिस समथिंग लाइक दैट, आई होप यू see the parallel reasoning here. All right, so this story I thought it was worth bringing up because it opened up avenues of discussions in other areas also. Let's move to another story here. आज की दो स्टोरीज हैं डिटेल वाली। तो सेबी प्रपोजेज इंस्टेंट सेटलमेंट इन इंडियन स्टॉक मार्केट। अब जो लोग जो थोड़ा सा अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टॉक मार्केट में करते हैं, ट्रेडिंग करते हैं, या दे आर अवेयर ऑफ इट, right? They are aware of the way the stock market works. So we know that there is a settlement. Settlement मतलब क्या होता है? See, any transaction which you do, you take a loan from your friend or anybody, there is a transaction, and you pay back that loan. The loan gets settled, right? So there is a settlement. तो सेटलमेंट जो होता है, आपने अब स्टॉक मार्केट में होता क्या है, आपने एक शेयर खरीदा या बेचा। तो आपने अगर एक शेयर बेचा, तो अब बेचा आपने, तो यू ऑब्वियसली वांट दैट मनी। तो मनी आपके पास में कब आता है? दैट इज सेटलमेंट। इन हाउ मेनी डेज आफ्टर योर ट्रांजैक्शन और आफ्टर योर सेलिंग डज द मनी कम इन योर अकाउंट? सिमिलरली द गाय हु हैज बॉट दैट शेयर, व्हेन डज द शेयर हिट हिज डीमैट अकाउंट? सो ये हमारे यहाँ पे एक इसकी हिस्ट्री रही है। टी, उसको बोलते हैं T+2 या T+3। तो ये टी मीन्स द ट्रांजैक्शन डेट। तो इफ लेट्स से टुडे विच इज 28th of December वी डू अ ट्रांजैक्शन, देन व्हेन डज द सेटलमेंट हैपन? तो इसके पीछे इन्होंने इंस्टेंट सेटलमेंट प्रपोज किया है। तो इसकी कहानी इसमें थोड़ा समझते हैं कि इंट्रोड्यूस अभी मतलब हुआ नहीं है ये T+0 की सेटलमेंट साइकिल एनविसाइज कर रहे हैं हम।
सर अभी तो T+1 चल
अभी
रही है ना सर?
T+1 हुआ है, यस। जनवरी में लास्ट ईयर, दिस ईयर जनवरी 23 में, उसके पहले T+2 था। T+,
राइट।
है ना। T+1 मतलब ये है कि आज आपने अगर कोई ट्रांजैक्शन किया तो आपको कल आपके अकाउंट में पैसा आएगा। ठीक है, मतलब आपके जो डीमैट अकाउंट में तो वो दिखाने लग जाएगा, जिस भी आपने ले रखा है, जैसे जीरो दा ले रखा है आपने, तो उसमें तो आपने देने के बाद में, बेचने के बाद में दिखाएगा, लेकिन वो फंड विड्रॉ नहीं कर सकते हो आप। तो फंड विड्रॉ आप एक दिन के बाद में कर सकते थे। ठीक है, पहले वो दो T+2 होता था इसके पहले, जनवरी के पहले। तो अब उन्होंने कहा है कि हम T+0 लेके आ जाएंगे फॉर ट्रेड स्टिल 1:30, मतलब अगर 1:30 बजे तक स्टॉक मार्केट कब तक चलता है, 9:15 पे खुलता है और 3:30 बजे तक चलता है। ठीक है, तो आपने अगर 1:30 बजे के पहले ट्रांजेक्शन किया है, तो फेज वन में आपको T+0 उसी दिन पैसा आपको मिल जाएगा 4:30 बजे तक। ठीक है, 4:30 बजे तक आपको सेटलमेंट हो जाएगा। और फेज 2 में इंस्टेंट सेटलमेंट 3:30 बजे तक हो जाएगा। मतलब 3:30 बजे तक आपने अगर ट्रांजैक्शन किया है, तो 4:30 बजे आपके अकाउंट में या तो पैसा आ जाएगा, या आपके शेयर खरीदे तो सिक्योरिटी आ जाएगी। तो दिस इज व्हाट इज बीइंग प्लान्ड हियर, राइट। ट्रेड सेटलमेंट इज द टू वे प्रोसेस। ये हमें हमें पता है, देयर इज अ लैग, राइट। सेटलमेंट डेट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द ट्रेड डेट। करंट साइकिल इज T+1, ठीक है, विच मीन्स within a day or within 24 hours of the actual transaction. The migration of this came in January this year, and India became the second country to start the T+1 settlement after China. तो इससे होता क्या है? देखो, इससे ये है कि ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी आती है, फास्टर फंड रेमिटेंसेज होते हैं, शेयर डिलीवरी होती है, एंड ईज ऑफ स्टॉक मार्केट पार्टिसिपेंट। सो ऑब्वियसली ये सभी के लिए एक विन विन सिचुएशन है, बिकॉज हु वुड वांट टू लिंगर अराउंड ऑन अ सेटलमेंट? इफ यू हैव सोल्ड समथिंग, यू वांट द मनी। लिक्विडिटी वाली बात होती है, ठीक है, आपको पैसा चाहिए इमीडिएटली, आपको कुछ सडनली कुछ रिक्वायरमेंट आ गई। सी, व्हाई डू पीपल कीप मनी in more liquid assets at times? If you put your money in a in let's say a bond, or if you put the money in, let's say, I mean, और illiquid asset है कोई आपके, जैसे कोई लैंड वैंड में आपने डाल दिया, रियल एस्टेट में डाल दिया, तो वो तो बहुत ही इनलिक्विड हो जाता है। आपको पैसा चाहिए तो इमीडिएटली तो मिलेगा नहीं, और मिलेगा भी तो डिस्ट्रेस सेल करोगे तो आधे दाम में तो मिल सकता है। तो लिक्विडिटी के लिए ये बड़ा अच्छा है, राइट। फास्टर रेमिटेंसेज, शेयर डिलीवरी। सो दिस विल, सो एज वी आर अवेयर दैट धीरे धीरे हमारे यहाँ पे रिटेल पार्टिसिपेंट बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, right? The number of demat accounts that have been opened is humongous over the last 3 years. The number of participants in stock market is increasing, and still we have hardly touched 5% of our population. Whereas in a country like US, almost 60-70% people, they 60-70 नहीं होगा तो 60% people they invest in markets. हमारे यहाँ पे वो फिगर 5% की ही है, तो there is a huge long way to go. तो इसके लिए ये किया है, तो इन्होंने इसको, और we are the first one in the world to introduce this same day. So this will be in addition to, तो इसमें भी एक ऑप्शन रखा गया है कि जिसको T+1 चाहिए वो T+1 ले ले, जिसको T+0 चाहिए वो ले ले, नहीं उसने इस तरह से एक ऑप्शन रखेगा, और 2 फेज में करना है इसको। और इसके पीछे की हिस्ट्री थी, 2002 तक ये T+5 होता था, बल्कि उससे भी ज़्यादा। मतलब आप जब हर्षद मेहता का जमाना था, तो जैसे वो स्कैम, तभी तो वो सब स्कैम हुआ उसका। किसी ने स्कैम 92 देखी होगी आप लोगों ने, राइट? तो उस जमाने में डिलीवरी नहीं होती थी, ये सब नहीं होता था, तो इसी के ऊपर खेलते थे वो। तो ऑब्वियसली दैट वाज अ डेंजरस टाइम। 2-2 हफ्ते तक नहीं होता था आपका सेटलमेंट, तो आपको जो करना है कर लो, उसमें मौज मजे। तो ये सब उन्होंने फिर T+3 कर दिया था इन 2002, एंड देन T+2 कर दिया था 2003 में, एंड देन T+1 करते करते इनको 20 साल लग गए। 2023 में T+1 किया है, एंड तो फेज मैनर में 2021 में इसको इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था, एंड देन 23 में इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया गया। So SEBI has proposed that existing shorter settlement cycle of an option to 2 फेज में, ये हमने डिस्कस कर लिया, 2 फेज में होगा। एंड ये पहले टॉप 500 लिस्टेड इक्विटी शेयर्स में होगा शुरू में, ओके, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली सारे का तो नहीं होता। जैसे हमें पता है NSE निफ्टी, NSE देन BSE है, तो NSE में टॉप, निफ्टी में टॉप 50 आते हैं, BSE में 30 आते हैं, एंड देन देयर इज अ टॉप 500। तो इसमें स्टार्ट होगा ये, ओके। सो इस तरीके से ये प्रोसीड करेगा। एंड why are they doing this? So because we've seen enormous growth in terms of volume, value, and participants, and this puts a greater onus on regulator to make markets more efficient and safer for its participants, with a special focus on retail participants. एंड एवरेज इंडियन, अभी हमारे यहाँ पे UPI है, जितना हमारे यहाँ पे UPI की जो अडेप्टेबिलिटी है उतनी दुनिया में कहीं पे भी नहीं है। वी आर वे अहेड, okay, we are way ahead of any country in this, and we are used to now instant payment platforms and this UPI and all that, and this can be there in now equity trading also, right? So low cost, high speed transactions that will attract the investors to particular client or asset classes, and therefore that's the reason we want to further draw and retain investors. Benefits: high percentage of retail investors bring upfront funds and securities before placing an order. 94% of delivery based with value up to this, investors made early pay in this, the consultation paper said. In instant settlement would enable instant receipt. Flexibility है, faster payouts, ठीक है, protection and all that. इम्पैक्ट ऑन म्यूचुअल फंड, म्यूचुअल फंड का ये है कि आप अगर अभी म्यूचुअल फंड को की यूनिट बेच देते हो तो 2 दिन लगते हैं उसको, T+2 days। म्यूचुअल फंड में अभी T+1 नहीं है, मतलब if I redeem a mutual fund, then I get the money after 2 days. So that will be done in T+1 day. Okay, so that is the best. Mutual fund का instant हो भी नहीं सकता, right? So that's the thing here. Any point on this? Anything you would want to add or discuss on this? Yes, Utsav, बोलो.
Sir, I think I am generally not in favor of T+0 days. I think T+1 we are doing pretty well in terms of efficiency, because sir, in T+0 days there is a difficulty in making a distinction between intraday and the delivery based transactions, right? If someone want to trade intraday and he could get the delivery, so like how will that pan out?
No, so that is why it is not going to happen instantaneously ना, वो तो 4:30 पे होगा। तो आपने सपोज करो कि एक शेयर खरीदा इंट्राडे के लिए, सपोज है ना, मैंने 12 बजे कुछ खरीदा, तो आई वांट टू सेल इट बिफोर द मार्केट क्लोजेस। नाउ इफ आई सेल इट बाय 3 o'clock, तो स्क्वायर ऑफ हो गया, ठीक है। तो आपको डिलीवर थोड़ी हुआ, तो 3:30 से 4:30 तक में जो भी डिलीवरी वाले हैं तो वो उसको करेगा ना स्क्वायर ऑफ। मतलब जैसे अगर सपोज करो मैंने खरीद लिया, मैंने देखा कि 3 बजे यार ये तो गिर गया, तो आई हैव टू कैरी इट, so then I take the delivery. So at 3:30, when I have not squared it, then that means that funds should be transferred from my account, and then the equity should be received in the account. तो वो 3:30 से 4:30 के बीच में कर लेगा वो, that's what they must have envisaged. तो देखो इसमें भी एक है ना कि 3:15 तक अगर सपोज करो
हम्म
आपने उसको इंट्राडे के लिए रखा है, तो
हम्म
3:15 फिर अपने आप ही वो स्क्वायर ऑफ हो जाता है ना, अगर आपके फंड उसमें नहीं है, अगर आप लिमिट पे खेल रहे हो। देखो जैसे हम लिमिट पे अगर करते हैं ना,
हम्म
सपोज आई डोंट हैव 2 लाख के मैंने खरीदा वहां पे, नाउ आई गॉट ऑलरेडी शेयर्स विच गिव मी दिस लिमिट, 25% लिमिट मुझे मिलती है,
जी सर।
राइट। तो सपोज आई एम प्लेइंग ऑन लिमिट एंड 3:15 तक अगर मैंने उसको चेंज नहीं किया डिलीवरी में, तो वो अपने आप ही स्क्वायर ऑफ हो जाता है। तो क्योंकि
ओके
उसमें अकाउंट में पैसा नहीं है ना उसको खरीदने के लिए। ये भी तो चेंज किया था उन्होंने, लिमिट भी तो चेंज किया था। पहले तो बहुत ज्यादा मतलब पहले क्या था, पहले तो आप करो खूब, अगर आपके पास में अकाउंट में कई सारे शेयर है तो आप उतना ही खरीद सकते हो। वो प्लेज, अब वो फिर प्लेजिंग स्टार्ट की थी, इफ यू रिमेंबर दे हैड स्टार्टेड द प्लेजिंग। तो नाउ यू व्हेन यू प्लेज देन यू गेट द लिमिट्स, इफ यू डोंट प्लेज देन यू डोंट गेट द लिमिट्स। तो ये
ओके
डिस्टिंक्शन हो जाएगा, ठीक है, दिस
ओके।
डिस्टिंक्शन विल हैपन, तो देयर विल।
दूसरा पॉइंट भी सर मेरा इससे रिलेटेड ही था कि मतलब ऑर्डर्स को फिर एडिट नहीं कर पाएंगे, बट आई थिंक दैट इज आल्सो
नहीं नहीं, दैट ऑल सी दैट इज व्हाई इट इज नॉट इंस्टेंट इन द सेंस कि आपने अभी बटन दबाया और आ जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है। 3:30 बजे तक मार्केट खत्म हो जाएगा और 4:30 बजे तक आपको 1 घंटे में पूरा कैलकुलेट हो जाएगा कि क्या नेट बनता है आपका। हाँ, तो दैट कैन बी, आई थिंक दे मस्ट हैव ऑलरेडी वर्कड आउट कि उसके लिए क्या रिसोर्सेज लगेंगे, कितना कहाँ पे क्या होगा सिस्टम, दे मस्ट हैव वर्कड आउट। ऑलराइट, ओके गाइस, सो ठीक है, वील मूव टू द नेक्स्ट सेगमेंट, लेट्स डू सम डिस्कशन, ठीक है। सो लेट्स अगेन लेट मी हैव अ शो ऑफ हैंड्स। तो एक्सटेम्पोर नहीं करते आज, एक्सटेम्पोर हम कल करेंगे, आज नहीं करते। आज लेट्स हैव अ कपल ऑफ डिस्कशंस। So please have a show of hands who would want to participate in the first discussion. Okay, so we have Vaibhav, Banshul, Utsav, Vishal, Amulya, and we have Parth. No, Parth है क्या आप? शुभांगी, पार्थ
यस
आप थे
सर।
क्या?
हाँ
ओके
सर मैं।
ओके, तो चलो ये हो गए 7, ठीक है। सो लेट्स हैव द फर्स्ट डिस्कशन going, and the discussion is on AI. AI will take away our jobs. Okay, so just think of some points that, and we have to discuss this. AI will take away our jobs. Chalo, start.
So the AI, when the topic comes that AI will take the job, it come because many small works as content creation, the search, like writing an opinion about someone, is being done by AI now at a same platform. So what happens is that people just go to any AI chatbot and it solve their problems and they are happy. But the main mistake is they don't check if there is an error, if that information is updated or not, and at the same time, is the opinion practically possible in the world or not? What if instead of AI will take any job, we should think on how can we make AI to create more jobs? And even recently, Akash Ambani also said that AI not only means artificial intelligence but also all inclusive. So we can use a lot of works to make AI. For example, we can use our CV to get refined through AI, and it will help us in securing any job. And apart from that, there will be. I don't think that if we are really skilled, then AI will ever take our jobs. And if the youth of the nation, if are skilled, then definitely there's going to be the economic growth.
Like
Well, I think
AI
the
is a very new
purpose of
technology currently, but yes, AI is a very new technology, and the shortcomings that you have listed will be overcome in the future, right? Uh, it it will AI will get more refined, more developed in the future, and definitely it is going to take away a lot of jobs, millions of jobs, and those jobs will be mostly of the routine nature, and I believe the jobs that AI is not going to replace are of teacher or doctor or lawyer. These type of jobs AI is not going to replace, and what AI is going to do is make these employees and workers even more efficient in their jobs.
Well, I believe that the only people who will lose their jobs are the ones that don't use AI efficiently. The purpose of artificial intelligence is to assist us in our day-to-day activities and in our jobs, even in specific fields like you can see in internal audit that we need professionals, chartered accountants to do the work. So AI will not replace them, but some people might lose their jobs if they don't use AI effectively, because now we can see in every field AI is being used for increasing efficiency and effectiveness.
I would like to bring some stats or facts from this. Firstly, AI was invented, first started in 1956. So it is a relatively older technology, and its definition itself means it's an intelligence. It's how much intelligence can be applied. It does depends upon the field to field, but that is nothing to in the definition for or the field in AI that it can't replace anybody's job. It's actually creative work which makes it AI different from the computer science or other fields in computer science. And we should definitely, this is definitely a concerning thing, and especially for the developing countries, and which don't have the uh, liberty to just switch their field, even if like some sort of a copywriting or social media post or something like that is concerned with.
Building
Also, I want to add a point like working on AI is itself isn't itself a job because AI will get stopped at a point. Like to add to its knowledge, people have to work on AI. So yeah.
Yeah, you are
like
I
right.
think
Also,
that
AI
the
I
can,
would like to interrupt
if
is
AI
that
is going to
in
take
the
away the
definition
job.
of AI, it can have a self-learning pattern. So I'm not sure that could be a valid point or not.
everyone, we also have to see the actual historical point. For example, what Vishal was saying, we need to see where, for example, he was talking about 1956. We need to actually see how historically the human race has acted against such kind of technologies. For example, if we see what happened in India during 1980s when Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister of the country, he brought in the IT industry in the he was bringing the IT industry in the country, whereas many of the parties, including the left and the present governing party of the BJP, they were totally against it. The the thinking in their mind was many of the clerks and many of the other people would actually lose their job. But if we see, it is actually the IT industry which has brought India to the pedestal where it is. Even if we go long back, the Industrial Revolution, there has been numerous industrial revolution, almost around five right now, and every industrial revolution had its own way of thinking that it would be problematic for the humans and it will make them unemployed. So it will not actually take away their jobs. For example, like spinning jenny. When spinning jenny was created, many of the people in England were of the mindset that it will take their jobs in the textile industry, but textile industry is still labor intensive at this point of time. Railways, canals which were used in UK at that point of time, the logs and various other things which were transported, it was thought that people will actually will not be able to travel with it. Railways is a very good example. It is still employing the most amount of people right now. So we cannot actually judge that AI will take away our jobs. It is just the new skill set that has to be provided to the people around. So AI will not actually take jobs. It can create more jobs.
I totally agree with
I
you
would
that
also like to
change
add
is the
upon.
only change is the only constant. And if AI is going to take away millions of jobs, it is also going to create more millions of jobs. That is for sure. And I also want to say that uh, people will have to upskill themselves if they want to stay ahead in the race, and uh, so that their jobs are not impacted that much.
I would like to add upon one of the points that my one of friend mentioned, that every new thing generates criticisms whenever they are introduced in this world. So I think the AI will be complement to the existing jobs and not eradicate the existing jobs. Like we can take the example of movie making. So movie making is a creative task, and
Oh, your voice is gone, Panchul.
the European Union has already come up with certain guidelines for the regulation of AI. So, by regulating AI, we can limit its risks and save our jobs if some jobs are will get replaced.
I don't think AI is going to swipe away all the jobs that do exist right now. But I think a more important question is that how is AI going to impact different industries, and how is it going to impact employers across different industries? I do feel that employers who will be trained in AI will do better than workers who won't be trained in AI. But like for example, there was this Hollywood strike that was going on uh, between the writers, and in the end they could actually, I mean by the end of the strike they were able to enforce some protections or some sort of mechanisms that would protect them against AI. So I think there are some mechanisms that are needed in different industries for us to ensure that AI is not completely robbing humans of their jobs. But even artists, I mean, there has been a lot of debate about how there are a lot of pictures and whatever creations that artists create, and if that data is being used by AI to train itself, then isn't that an idea of copyright infringement? So I think there are a lot of complexities that surround AI. So we are far from the day where AI is going to replace human jobs, but I do think that as it has been pointed out, that it is going to automate our jobs. It is going to take away those jobs which are repetitive, but also there are so many jobs that involve creativity and critical thinking. So I think workers would have more time on their hand to do more enriching parts of the job. So yeah.
Like
I would
adding
like
to
to
the
add
points of
to
what
what
actually what
Utsav said as
Shubhangi
well.
has said. So for example, if you would see many of the sectors, AI would be actually complementary to various employments which are still present. For example, let's see healthcare. There anyone can have minimal mistake. They cannot have mistakes because that would amount to losing a life. But But doctors, with the help of machine learning as well as AI, can actually save many lives. This can actually be also used in, for example, in sectors like defense, or for example, where there are taboos, like for example, gutter cleanings. People think that anyone going there, it's a taboo in a way that people clean it, or many lives are lost even in the gutters. Machine learning, AI, they are actually beneficial for the people who can operate without endangering their lives. Even exploration to also about complex thinkings, which humans cannot actually do. For example, chat GPT. I have heard various writers in the entertainment industry where they have where they had an idea that they might lose their job, but it actually has increased their time limit. So what actually Shubhangi was saying, I totally agree with it in a way that uh, many of the writers are able to speed up their writing, have various thoughts, actually um, uh, uh, categorize their thought in a way to make a proper thing. So we need to also think about it that it is complementary to the jobs and will not actually take away the.
I would like
I
to
would
add
like
to
to
what
support it
mentioned
by
Another
a
earlier
fact
that
that
the
India's most GDP is coming out of the IT sector. So, like, it is already been approved that IT sector is employing more people than taking jobs of more people.
Ah, so that's not a very valid point, okay, Amulya, because if you see the hiring has already gone down in IT sector. So that's not valid. Okay.
sir, I would like to
Okay,
add
sir.
something.
Yeah.
So, sir, I would like to add something to the point that Utsav mentioned earlier. Like when when an innovation occurs, there are a lot of new jobs created. But what usually happens is when there's a new software or innovation, there's a huge delta between the jobs that are lost and the jobs that are created. And usually the jobs that are lost are more. So I think what matter here is how quickly people can adapt to the new innovation and upskill themselves so that
This
the
point has been discussed earlier.
I would like
okay,
to add that
okay, then I apologize.
AI also has numerous new implementations, something like Neuralink, and which can actually be embedded in brain. That's the ideal concept of it, and maybe it will be true that we will have our own direct AI assistant in the future.
Another aspect of AI has been that some people are associating sentience with AI. So, I mean, there has been a lot of debate and discussion about this. So, I think even organizations need to be very proactive in terms of understanding that these corporations, like whether it's Microsoft or whether it's Google, who are trying to use AI, that they are trying to make money out of this, but also that they have to protect the interest of their own employees and workers. So there are no proper frameworks that protect anyone as of now. So I think for AI to be integrated into a much wider rate, we would need some sort of documentation or legislature for it to define how it would overlap with other industries.
I think
I
data
also
protection
agree with
works.
Shubhangi as the world's biggest AI company, that is OpenAI. Its CEO Sam Altman also mentioned that if the AI is not regulated, and we also know that the self regenerating AI is in progress. So if the regulation is not made about AI, then AI can be dangerous and can take away jobs. But it is unpredictable until now.
AI
Uh,
works on data, and data in today's age is the most important thing, is the epitome, right? And the businesses, they are going to adapt AI to increase their operational efficiency, right? Like in their routine jobs like customer service or bookkeeping, they are going to implement AI now. Yeah.
I would like to add
uh,
a point.
Yeah. So last point being made by Anjali. Okay, then we'll wind up. Yes, Anjali.
Sir, I'm a bit contradictory about the point that they will be complementary. I guess AI will gradually take away the jobs because I have certain examples, obviously real world examples. Number one, sir, there was a song Tere Vaste
No, your
that
voice
was
is not very clear. I don't know.
Sir,
sir,
I
is
just
it clear now?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, I'm saying that I'm a bit contradictory about the point that they will be complementary. I guess AI will be taking away our jobs because there are certain real world examples that I will be giving.
No, your voice is not coming clearly. Is it me or can anyone hear properly?
Sir, it's for me too.
Yeah.
Same.
So Anjali, there's something. Maybe you're using a earphone or headphone. You can take it off and then maybe directly speak.
Is it
It is
clear?
better. Yes.
Yeah, so I was saying that I'm a bit contradictory about the point that the AI will be complementary. I guess it will be taking away few jobs, and I'm taking the stand because of some real world use cases. Number one, so there was a point that they will not be replacing the creative and creative jobs basically. So, sir, there was a song Tere Vaste that was sung by AI in the voice of seven singers, and ये बोला गया था कि इनकी accuracy was about 95 to 96%. Second, sir, I'm working on a startup named Crypto Idiot. Usme, sir, I was since busy with my MBA, so my brother just asked me to give a random video of mine. So what I did, I gave a random video of me. So sir, what he did, उसने मेरी मतलब उसने पूरा स्क्रिप्ट मतलब AI ने बोला है and lip sync भी AI ने किया है. मैं कुछ भी बोल रही थी like I'm Anjali Narnolia and I'm reading in Miranda House ऐसे करके कुछ भी बोला था, but he converted that video into the script and lip sync AI कर रहा था in 9 languages. And sir, there was a point said by Utsav कि AI won't be taking the jobs of teachers and lawyers. So sir, I guess before 2 months ago, 2 months before, Harvard University replaced a science teacher with a bot. So I don't think there is any job that can't be replaced by AI. Abhi nahi, but gradually it will be taken away.
So okay, so it's fine. I think we'll. Okay, Manav, you want to add something to it?
Yes, sir. So I have one point that, according to me, we can learn from history also. Like, for example, the Luddite movement of the late 18th century, in which the workers were against the introduction of mechanized equipment, and they feared that it would make the skill worthless and they will lose their jobs. But it happened exactly the opposite. It created better opportunities and also raised the standard of living. And
Right.
also, there's a line that the problems caused by innovation is not revolution; it is more innovation. So we
Right.
can see AI as a innovation, and as humans go for more innovation, like there will be changes, and I think all we
Right.
can do is not fear it and be ready for it.
Correct. Okay, so one final point, Parth, is there. Let's close with them. Yes.
So we also have to understand that humans are very much adaptive. So, for example, when it was like in 18th century, when Britishers were actually growing indigos here in India and exporting it to Germany to make indigo color for dyeing, somehow synthetic indigo was used by the industries in Germany and it was replaced. Humans in India, they understood it could be very problematic, though many things came and they had to eventually change it, but they thrived. For example, this company GmbH in Germany, which is still there. It is using indigo. It has changed its structure, and it always does. And for example, Nitin Gadkari just gave a statement few days back that he went to United States. He saw an automated car to be moving all around United States. He will not allow automated car to come to India because that will take away the jobs of various drivers. But yes, he might allow it to make various safety concerns to be seen, whether the eyes are shutting or not, whether the engine is whether the engine light is there or not, and various other safety things. So humans are always adaptive. So if there would be any problem with AI, we would create another thing to have our ways to go through.
Correct. Agreed. Right. So we can finally say yes. Anjali's points were okay. They were valid because she's experiencing them firsthand. This fear is always going to be there. See, deep fakes and all these videos and all this stuff, which is exactly going to mimic. And people are already defrauding. Okay, they are already mimicking the sound of somebody's relative who's calling in distress and then asking some money to be paid, and people have been fooled into paying thinking that it was that relative. So these kind of things are going to happen. See, obviously for any technology, whenever it develops, there'll be the evil will coexist with good, right? So people will start making use of these technologies, deep fakes and all that will happen. But the point is that as long as we are sensitive to all this, and we'll have regulations, as pointed out by somebody, uh, I think someone mentioned about regulations, Vishal or somebody, I think somebody. So they will be there, and we will definitely adapt. So yes, it will take away jobs, but certain kind of jobs, but it will add many more. In fact, there was some report by, I think, Forbes or someone, which said that if 85 million jobs will be taken away and some 97 million will be added. So there can be huge number of jobs, AI security engineer, AI prompt engineer, because this prompt will, all these LLMs, okay, chat GPT and all, you can't trust their output. Okay, even I use them. So they should be used as an assistant. They should not be treated as a master or even equivalent. ये तो हमारे लिए servant. I mean, we should treat them as an assistant. And as I think pointed out by someone, a very valid point, that they will free your time from some useless and routine activities to help you to focus on more important elements of your work, so that you can become even much better. So that's what I am at least also personally experiencing with it. And that's why I advise everyone to use that tool that is there as an assistant. Use it. Don't trust it. Okay, you'll have to check the output. So one has to check the output. You can't just, so there could be a job for AI output verifier. Okay, so Forbes has also given a list of such jobs, 20 such jobs that could be created. Okay, that includes all of these. The AI art director or AI output verifier. So there could be so many other jobs that will be created, right? So fine, very good discussion. I think we covered a lot of points on it. Let's have so okay, just one advice. Sometimes we tend to drag more, sometimes we tend to repeat. Maybe try to say the same thing which somebody has mentioned in a little different way. So let's be a little conscious of that. Okay, if we should not just speak for the sake of filling time. We should have add points, and even if we have added one or two valid points, it's fine. It's not necessary to keep coming up or trying to make our presence felt. See, your the weightage of your points, or the or the intensity of your points which should convey, not the quantity or volume. Yes, Vishal.
Sir, in this like discussion, a lot of people mentioned like wrong facts regarding AI, like it's a new technology, or like it can't self-learn, or like it can't take away this particular job or that. Like,
Right.
so by mistake, I actually just directly pointed. But like, sir, someone told me that I should not correct
No,
like.
no. So you use the wrong word, actually. You are right, but you use the wrong word. You should, sorry for interrupting, or something like that, right? So you should not say that. You should see, I think that this is not correct. Or shall we evaluate the factuality of it? Because as per me, this was invented this, and as per me, or the sources from where I read, that this is not like this. In fact, it's not been like this. So you can always put your counterpoint. However, the way you put it is also very important. You should not kind of directly say. And also, what happens sometimes, that somebody is making a point, and you do not give your counter view there and then, and let's say somebody else says something, and then you try to counter, then that thing is lost, right?
Okay.
All right. So I take your point. It is not wrong to, but the way you point out, okay, don't say I think you are wrong, or I think you are mistaken. You say that in my view, this is not factually correct, or this is not 100% correct, or this might be not the way it sounds. थोड़ा सा उसको टेम्परिंग करके बोलना है, but you
But
definitely
sir, like,
should.
तो फिर prefer तो रहेगा कि नया point ही mention करूँ ना, like we'll just ignore it.
हाँ, मतलब इग्नोर करके आप बता सकते हो, यस, इग्नोर करो उसको, या फिर सी, अगर इफ अपॉर्चुनिटी इज देयर, नोबडी इज स्पीकिंग, एंड समबडी मेक्स अ रॉन्ग पॉइंट, देन यू कैन से दैट आई डोंट थिंक दैट इट इज 100% करेक्ट. ऐसे करके बोल सकते हो आप.
Okay.
यस, शुभांगी.
So two questions. First, if it's like a 10-15 minute round and there are 10 people, should you be speaking twice? Like
No, you should
providing.
be, if you have some very valid point, then. But don't repeat, because many times I could see in this discussion also, people were repeating the other points in some other language. तो वो नहीं करना चाहिए हमको. Okay, we have solid points, then we should make those points. We should try to be crisp, precise, and that's it.
And so that's a challenge that I've been noting down, that what will happen is I'll think of something in three different directions, and when I'm speaking, I can't like make it into like a very
नहीं तो
organized.
थोड़ा सा you'll have to practice. You'll have to practice.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll have to practice
Because
when to start,
either
when to
you,
end.
yeah,
Yeah, you have to
yeah,
practice. But what is your point? How to make it more effective? When to start and when to end. We cannot linger on a point.
yeah,
Sometimes some I think उत्सव आप एक आध बार ये भी हुआ कि आपने एक point start किया but you could not complete it.
Yes, yes,
Right? So वो वैसा नहीं है. You if you start a point then and see if you have already spoken once or twice then resist the impulse to keep coming back unless there is some very strong point. है ना?
right. Okay, sir.
ठीक है. All right. Okay.
सर
Yeah.
एक डाउट था सर सर फॉर एग्जांपल जो मैं पॉइंट्स बोल रहा था व्हाट आई हैव एक्चुअली सीन इन माय थिंग इज कि अगर मैं वो पॉइंट्स लिख लेता हूँ तो वो बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स जो मेरे दिमाग में शुरुआत में आए जो आपने टाइम पीरियड दिया है वो सारे मेरे दिमाग में रहते हैं हम ऐसा कर सकते हैं क्या सर हाथ में एक दो वर्ड्स तीन चार वर्ड्स
नहीं
वहां
नहीं
पे लिख
हाथ में
सकें
क्यों
और
आपको
वो हाथ में रखें
नहीं हाथ में क्यों आपको तो एक पेन और पेपर दिया जाएगा ना जब आप बीडी में जाओगे तो यू
ओके
विल
सर
बी
ओके
गिवन अ पेन और अ पेपर which you will be there by your side. So you are supposed to note it there. And also, while during the discussion, you should be not directly looking at that paper all the time and noting out, but you can keep the eye contact with the person who is speaking and make some notes or note some point which you want to come back on. And then when
ऑल राइट
somebody has start speaking, you can look at that and come back. So you should not be seen to be totally focused on that particular piece of paper only, but you should be looking at it intermittently and taking cues from there. वो करना पड़ेगा आपको. Okay.
ओके सर
All right. So let's take a quick one, the other one, the second discussion, because many of you maybe would like to join that. So okay. So I mean, I would keep it open. Only thing is, जिन्होंने अभी काफी ज्यादा participate कर लिया, they may keep themselves on the back end in the beginning. Let the people who have not participated in this one participate more, and then they can come in a little later maybe. Okay, so because there are not too many of you left only. कुछ एक दो लोग चले भी गए. Manav had not participated, I think. Satya had not participated too much. एक दो बार किया था. सौरभ में भी ज्यादा नहीं तो ज़्यादा नहीं है. Let me just give this topic to you. So the topic is that two or we can say that India should adopt two-party system like the US. Okay, so just think of in a minute, and then we'll start. बहुत लंबा नहीं करेंगे इस डिस्कशन को. We'll try to wrap it up in 10 minutes. Okay, let's start.
So I don't think India need to follow the two-party system like the US because of its being the most populous country in the world and having the diverse interests of the people. So each region has something that they specifically need for or they specifically or culturally rooted to. So we should allow regional specific or else which they're culturally aligned to parties to grow and nurture not make them as a just select either one from black or white. There should be a gray area.
So just to bring things in perspective, I would like to just give a background. So India currently we know has multiple parties, and some of these are completely limited to the particular region that they function in. Whereas the US currently has two main parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. Now, bringing into question whether India should adopt the two-party system or not. So, personally, what I feel is that since we have multiple parties that cater to regional needs of people, and this has, played strongly for these parties because India is a very, very, not just populous, but also regionally diverse region. And each party, kind of appeases to a certain class of people, caste of people. We have seen in the recent wave of state assembly elections that there was a lot of caste and, creed appeasement politics. And I feel that this has also played out to the benefit of the people of India because the more the number of parties, the more the number of welfare schemes out there that these parties are willing to lay out for the people. So I feel that for a country like India, maybe a multi-party system would be much better.
From other perspective, I would like to add some more points. Like if we compare advantages of two parties only and multiple parties, so there are certain advantages of two parties only. Like there is some clarity of voters, and then also there is a certain aspect of avoidance of political fragmentation in the country. And sometimes the party, if there are three parties competing for an election, so what happens? A party which is more reliable and supported by many people is not able to get in power because of the coalition government that is formed by the opposing two parties. So in that order, the two parties are not able to. The party which has got major votes is not able to come in powers. And then there are certain advantages of multiple parties as well. Like there is a third party influence if we talk about the a third party would always try to influence and would also try to highlight the major national issues which should be looked in a broader way. And then the collaboration of parties would help in prosperity of the nation as well.
According to me, we should not blindly follow what the West does because the history of India is certainly different from that of the US. And also, I think India is a more developing economy, so it needs to perform better. So in a multi-party system, there's certainly a degree of competition which is better than I think better than a two-party system, and also a fair representation from all because there's a huge diversity in India. So a fair representation is better possible in a multi-party system, and also the public has more options to choose in a multi-party system than in a two-party system.
Sir, I think in a diverse country like India, multi-party system will be most suitable. As we can say it many, we can see in many states there are regional parties, and people trust only those parties. And also, in case of multi-party system, we have a strong opposition to question the government decision. So, the a strong opposition represents a better functioning of a country. And also, another case we look on to is the coalition case. In a country like India, we have seen many times coalition government. So in a two-party system, the coalition government is not a viable option to see.
Rick, utter silence. How could this happen? We had just 5 minutes. Yes, yes, you can participate, Parth, a bit, since nobody is speaking. Okay, so you can participate. No problem. This is open for all now.
Well, here I would like to differ from the group a little bit. For example, we would have to see it in a very microscopic way. So, for example, there should be diverse parties on the state level or the local level. That is absolutely fine because there are local issues, there are local things that has to be understood in the localized way. But when it comes to the national level, we have to think that two-party system can actually create stability. And this stability is actually very, very much important. So, for example, when if we see in the 1930s, when there was Italy, in Italy, there were numerous parties, and these parties were actually coming in power in coalition, and they would have to fulfill demands of everyone, and eventually they would fail. So much so that in one term, various new governments came and gone by, at least like 8 or 9 governments came by, that eventually led to the rise of fascism. This can be seen in various other countries too. For example, Israel, where there is no permanent government, there is no permanent party, and this leads to coalition. Also, for example, like Pakistan, where various parties come together. Or, for example, like in India, for example, UPA or various other alliances, when they come together, they would have to think about various other parties through whose support they are actually in power, which eventually can lead to huge amount of corruption. So, for example, when there was nuclear deal during the time of Manmohan Singh government or UPA government, left parties left the UPA alliance because they were totally against it. But think about it. If there would have been a single party and they would have voted internally about it, and if they would have been all united on the front, at that point of time, there would not have been any uproar. And so such, at the national level, I personally think that two-party system can actually provide stability, which is very much required for our country. And right now, for example, BJP has clear majority. Think about it. If there would not have been a clear majority, so for example, we were talking about Moody's right now, many of the other rating agencies and other wouldn't have seen India in a very good light because there is no stability. So we would have to think about stability too.
So I think that's one way of looking at things. In a diverse country like India, people have different ideologies. So we can take the example of the new front that is made right now, that is the India front. So the India front comprises of various parties, but in news we can frequently see that there has been internal discussions concurrently going about seat distribution. Then and then also they are not able to decide about the distribution channels. So I think the ideologies in a diverse country like India are very different. So a two-party system must not be so suitable for a country like India.
But see, let me just put my point here that so when you mentioned, in fact, I was waiting for it. Somebody should mention this India alliance, and on the other hand, we have the NDA alliance. So don't you think that on one hand, when we have NDA here and we have the India alliance there, it is almost acting like two party. Why are these all these people? Okay, how many of them are there? 26, 27, and here we have how many? Some 30 or 8, 39 parties. So is it not that they are forming a block, or it is almost like a two-party that we will see in this particular election? So why have they come together? Because they know that they are so diverse and they are so disintegrated that for them to challenge any form of dominance in the way it is there currently is not possible. And if you see, any alliance would form an alliance only when their ideologies match. So here, of course, again, ideologies don't match on certain level, and each one will stab the other in the back. And first of all, are they really successful? We can really take it as a successful model. So I mean, these are the points that we should consider. So I just thought that this particular example is rather in favor of two party rather than opposite of two party. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So any other points, any more points anyone would like to bring up on this?
So just adding to it, for example, like in China, which is a one-party system, everyone knows that it is a dictatorship in its own way. But at the same point of time, when we see tremendous economic growth as well as opportunities which has risen over there, it is because of stability in one way. And there is one party system and there is a huge hierarchy over there. We are a democracy. We cannot accept it. But at the same point of time, we would have to create a balance between too many voices or stability in a way to say that all right, we can have democracy too, but we cannot compromise on effective governance as well as stability model. This is again a point which I wanted to add, sir.
This is a very valid point that, yes, Shubhangi, go ahead.
So another point could be about thinking about lobbying and financing parties in an election. So if we have two parties, then there are just two factions that are there, and there are chances that some industries or some factions would not be able to support a party that will best in represent their interests, which is a possibility when you have a multi-party election.
But lobbying is not there in India. Where do we lobby? There is no, it's not like
The
US.
lobbying is in the US, but
No, so here, in fact, that's one more incentive to have a two-party system so that we could also have a, see, is why, because we don't have lobbying, that's why a lot of corruption stems from that, right? So if you, let's say, have a official or formal lobbying system, then a lot of those evils can be taken care of. That's one way to look at it. See, another point to consider here is that this, okay, it was mentioned, I think, or but then maybe we can focus on it. The ills of a multi-party system is this horse trading or this resort politics. Okay, so I think Manav also mentioned, or somebody mentioned that despite okay having more number of seats than the other two parties, if the other two align, then you are defeated. And also this leads to a lot of these these manipulations and so all of those evils can be avoided if you have a two-party system. Then you won't have these people who will be willing to defect or move from one party to the other on the promise of some money or something, right? Yes, Saurabh.
Since the discussion is over now about this topic, I want to ask in general, because in this topic, in this GD, I try to broaden my views on this topic, and I discussed both the parts of the story
Yes.
rather than focusing on only one. So, is it a good way to go about
Yes,
it,
yes.
or should I just? Okay,
No,
sir.
no, it is a good way to go about it.
Okay,
See,
sir.
the whole thing is that we should give it a little more structure. So let's say, see, when we started off, so I think Satya, see, you don't take a stand. So the point is that we are compelled to take a stand in the beginning. So whether it is good or what, India should adopt or not adopt. No. So then I think Nandini, then you picked up the baton from there and you kind of laid down the context, right? So see, the way you should go about is that you should say that, okay, the topic is India should adopt two-party system. Let's first understand what is this two-party and what is a multi-party. So somebody might start like this, that, okay, India is a multi-party system. We have got n number of parties, whereas in US there are two parties, which is Republican and the UK. And so do many other Western countries, many other European countries. You could give examples of the UK, okay, and Australia and many other countries which have got two-party system and they are functioning very well. They are doing very well. So that's the first step. Okay, now obviously there are certain advantages of a two-party system. There are certain advantages of a multi-party system. Now, whether before we come to a conclusion that, okay, whether India should adopt or not, let's look at the pluses and minuses of both the systems. So let's look at some of the positives of in the current scenario of our multi-party system, right? So we have such a diverse, such diversity may not be found in any other country in the world. We are the most populous, okay, like Satya started out, and then talk about religious, regional requirements, regional issues. Everybody has got a issue which may not be there in some other part of the country, and therefore we need a localized representation. So towards that, the multi-party system really works very well. However, it generates a lot of evils like this horse trading and coalition government and compromising on growth development when there are too many voices. So as Parth rightly pointed out, China has been able to grow because of their authoritarian regime or whatever. You may call it an evil in a sense, but then it is the factor behind the steep rise of China's economy and it reaching the number 2. Because had it got a democracy like us or someone, then there would have been too many impediments or stumbling blocks. So obviously, the democracy in this form has its own challenges. So we are of course not advocating that we become like China, but we can adopt a midway, because too many voices, okay, that could really hamper where we want to be. So that is another point. So you can kind of discuss the pros and cons of this, and then maybe we can try to arrive at the conclusion. So it's fine. I think it's good. Discussions are happening. That's pretty good. We will get refined as we go along. Yes, Nandini.
Sir, I just wanted to ask something. Like, I remember faintly that when we started out in the beginning, there was one party called the Muslim League, and I think there was another that was its competitor, and like it was kind of a two-party system in the beginning, and eventually, like a lot of parties formed. So I was, trying to remember from a historical perspective, but I didn't remember it correctly. So I just wanted to ask you that how did we start out?
No, this discussion. Acha, no, in the you meant to say the history.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like how this whole political system came into being, because I remember there was during the time of the partition also this played a huge role in division of India and Pakistan as well, Jinnah. So just to, recall some parts of that might be helpful.
Maybe I would hand over to Parth.
Yes, sir. Sir, so they were not actually two-party system ever in India. There were numerous parties, but in our history, we have actually focused more on the Muslim League as well as the Congress Party. So there were parties like Justice Party or the Liberal Party, or for example, I can't recall this party, but it was very, very strong in Punjab. I think it was from where. So I'm not able to recall, sir, but there were numerous parties all around. So, for example, even B.R. Ambedkar had its own party, T.B. Sapru, and various other people have various parties. So there was no two-party system. Although we have focused more on Muslim League so that we can actually come to the conclusion why Pakistan parted away from India. So it wasn't that way, sir.
Yeah, correct. That's what the understanding. All right, good.
Sir,
So
one
yeah,
question, sir.
yeah.
Sir, for example, sir, I just wanted to know, sir, can we play devil's advocate in the GD round?
Why not? Why not?
सर जैसे ये इंडिया शुड अडॉप्ट टू पार्टी सिस्टम ऑल्दो इससे टफ भी आ सकते हैं बट मेरे पास दोनों पॉइंट्स थे तो मेरे को लगा अगर ग्रुप एक पॉइंट्स पे बात कर रहा है तो मैं दूसरे पे बात कर लूं तो मतलब अगर कोई ऐसा है विच इज मतलब ऐसा कोई क्वेश्चन सर जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल should there be roadblocks by the parties to favor their own views तो मतलब काइंड ऑफ लाइक जो बहुत ही अगेंस्ट जा सकता है इस टाइप का अगर कोई व्यू पॉइंट हो उसके अंदर डेविल्स एडवोकेट जैसा प्ले करना चाहिए जीडी में कि नहीं सर
नहीं नहीं देखो डेविल्स एडवोकेट तो आप दोनों तरफ सी द होल पॉइंट ऑफ अ ग्रुप डिस्कशन इज इट इज नॉट अ डिबेट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट इज अ डिस्कशन सो डिस्कशन शुड अनकवर ऑल द फैसेट्स whether it is this side or that side. So the problem is that when we start a discussion, we start with a mindset that yes, this should be done or should not be done. So that should not be the attitude. So somebody who can pick up the leadership or somebody who can display leadership in this by trying to define the roadmap that okay, so see somebody then has to have a holistic perspective also. See, whoever takes a leadership in any group discussion then has to have, so just say, suppose you have the points from both the sides. So you can take the leadership and start off by saying that, see, this is something which needs to be discussed from both the ends. So there are certain positives also of this. Say for example, this X is a positive. You can give one example and then a negative also. So why don't we look at it doing like this, that let's first try to list out all the positives. See, अगर आपने एक tone set कर दी, now, suppose there are the participants and one of the person starts going in a different direction. Then immediately he will be noticed and he'll be outcast. Okay, वो एकदम से फिर अपना मतलब he'll be penalized, right? That when you have decided, you have discussed that okay, so shall we do it like this? That let's discuss. Now, अगर किसी को इसमें आपत्ति है तो वो वहीं पे बोलेगा कि no, I don't think that will be a good idea. I think I have got a better idea. तो देन लिसन टू व्हाट दैट फेलोज आइडिया इज. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट इस तरह से जब अगर हम डिस्कशन में प्रोसीड करेंगे ना, देन देयर विल बी अ लॉजिकल डिस्कशन. अभी क्या होता है, which is normal. See, I mean, you are all doing very well. Okay, there is nothing to take away. All I'm saying is कि अभी क्या होता है कि हम रैंडमली, ठीक है, आपके दिमाग में किसी का एक पॉइंट आया, उसने वहां पे वो पॉइंट बोला, किसी के दिमाग में दूसरा पॉइंट आया, उसने वो पॉइंट बोला. तो वी आर बेसिकली मोर लाइक ओके मेकिंग आर पॉइंट्स, ट्राइंग टू make our presence felt, trying to say what we have or what we know. This is not proceeding, this doesn't proceed like a discussion. Okay, so if you can structure, and this is how most of the GDs happen, because ऑब्वियसली ये उस तरह का फोरम नहीं है जहाँ पे कि एक अब जैसे अगर मीटिंग हो रही होती है तो एक बॉस होता है, राइट, तो एक बॉस रेगुलेट करता है उस चीज़ को, तो एक अलग तरीके से चीज़ें चलती हैं, राइट. यहाँ पे फ्री फॉर ऑल, ऑल एट पार, तो इस तरह से चलता है, चलेगा वो भी चलेगा. बट यस, अगर आप कर सकते हो तो आपको करना चाहिए. आई होप दैट आंसर द
सर
क्वेश्चन.
बट अगर बहुत ज्यादा कंट्रोवर्शियल टॉपिक हो,
नहीं,
फॉर
कंट्रोवर्शियल टॉपिक
एग्जांपल,
पहली बात तो मिलेगा भी नहीं. सी, कंट्रोवर्शियल टॉपिक मिलेगा भी नहीं, एक तो, है ना, और दूसरी
सर
बात
जैसे
ये.
फॉर एग्जांपल मतलब ये कंट्रोवर्शियल भी हो सकता है और नहीं भी होता है. अब सर जैसे एक मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है, जस्ट डोंट माइंड अदर्स अगर ऐसा है, शुड women बी गिवन रिजर्वेशन ऑफ 25% और 50% इन द पार्लियामेंट. तो मतलब सर मेजोरिटी बोलेंगे यस दे शुड बी गिवन. ऐसे टाइम पे डेविल्स एडवोकेट का काम करना चाहिए कि नहीं
हाँ
करना
हाँ,
चाहिए
करना चाहिए ना, क्यों नहीं करना चाहिए, बिल्कुल करना चाहिए.
दैट दे शुड नॉट बी गिवन
हाँ
और
हाँ,
अपने
why
अगर
not?
पॉइंट्स.
हाँ, if
ओके
you have some relevant points, see, your point should not be then, those misogynist points or sexist points or any of those, points. If you have some valid points, then why not? Right?
ओके सर.
Hmm?
ओके सर.
All right. Okay, yes, Saurabh, बोलो.
सर एक चीज पूछनी थी बस कि जैसे सर अब हम ग्रुप डिस्कशन में जाते हैं, सो वी शुड हैव दिस माइंडसेट ना कि हमें भाई एज अ होल ग्रुप मार्क्स फेच करने हैं रादर देन ऑन इंडिविजुअल कंट्रीब्यूशन. कि एज अ होल ग्रुप में हमें, क्योंकि सर जब काफी बार मैं भी जीडी करता हूँ अभी जितने दिनों से हम कर रहे हैं, तो पहले तक तो 2-3 दिनों से तो मैं यही सोच रहा था कि वी आई हैव टू कंट्रीब्यूट इंडिविजुअली एंड मेरे को कोई इंडिविजुअल के मार्क्स मिलेंगे इस जीडी से. बट आपके बोलने के बाद मुझे ऐसा लगा एज अ ग्रुप हमें नंबर मिल रहे हैं और हमें एज अ ग्रुप ही परफॉर्म करना पड़ेगा इन ऑर्डर टू गुड गुड मार्क्स. हमें कोई आउटशाइन होने की जरूरत नहीं है, एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी बनने की जरूरत नहीं है, बट वी शुड परफॉर्म एज अ ग्रुप. इज दिस द राइट वे टू
That
थिंक
is the
अबाउट
right
इट
way,
सर?
but at times it becomes idealistic, क्योंकि वो होता नहीं है. See, you should be prepared for
हम्म.
both. ओके, जहाँ पे डेकोरम
यस सर.
कोरम बन रहा है, ढंग से हो रहा है, तो वहाँ पे ढंग से करो. लेकिन अगर नहीं है तो फिर अपने पॉइंट्स तो बोलने हैं. अगर आपको लग रहा है कि ये तो
हाँ जी सर.
अनकंट्रोलेबल सिचुएशन है, फिर मुझे कुछ एक दो पॉइंट तो बोलने हैं, तो फिर बोलो. सी, बात ये है ना
ओके सर.
कि अगर एक जैसे जितनी इवॉल्व जनता होगी, है ना, उतना इवॉल्व डिस्कशन होगा, और जितनी जनता इवॉल्व नहीं होगी उतना वो डिस्कशन जो है वो इसी तरह से होगा. तो आपको वो असेस करना है कि यार किस तरह की जनता है वहाँ पे, है ना.
सर अगर
हाँ
फिश मार्केट जैसी सिचुएशन हो रही है, शुड वी यूज आवर लंग पावर, मतलब थोड़ी सी वॉइस
हाँ,
बढ़ा
कर लो
के बोल.
कर लो. नॉट बी रूड, बट यू कैन डेफिनेटली यूज योर लंग पावर, श्योरली.
ओके सर.
ठीक है, चलिए. ऑल राइट, ओके गाइस, सो थैंक यू, इट वाज अ गुड डिस्कशन. आई होप इट वाज वैल्यूएबल, यूजफुल. थैंक यू, एंड I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
थैंक यू
थैंक
सर.
यू सर. बाय. गुड नाइट.